Hello. I can't hear you. I haven't got the Bluetooth working. I can't hear you. I haven't got the Bluetooth working. What? Why is it? I haven't got the Bluetooth working. Why is it doing that? Why is it doing that? Oh, for fuck's sake.
Hello everybody. Oh, I've even got this bit fucked up. Oh, I've fucked up everything. I fucked it all up, Robin. This has been spectacular. The most spectacular start. There we go. There we are. Hooray! We're both here now.
I'm not.
There you go. Everyone can hear us both now.
So this is why you should never get new technology.
Ever.
I've all sat down, ready, 5 minutes to go, all going to be fine. Pete says, don't forget your headphones, which is just sitting up there, but I need to set up the Bluetooth on the PC to make them work, and then, of course, it didn't work at all. So,
Did we
and then
set
Pete,
it up?
I don't know what Pete did with the audio set feed there.
I just completely forgot to actually get all the layout properly set up before we started, so just fucked it right up. Just ballsed it all up. I was waiting for you, and then just all went wrong. Hello everybody, we're here at last.
Well, at least I didn't say anything too rude.
Yeah, because was like, why do I bother with this fucking shit?
That's fucking annoying questions. Every fucking week.
Bloody game. I fucking hate YouTube. Who have we got in the house tonight? We've got a Jim Tyson. Hello. We got Milky Paints, David Henderson, Wolfman Gers, Gavin Scott, James Milne, some weirdo called Robin Brooks, VJ Morth is there, James Milne again, Gavin Scott again, David Henderson again, Ed Avery is in the house. We've got Halo the Potato. Hello. That's a brilliant name, Halo the Potato. Horn Rat Minis, haven't seen you for a while. Hello again. I think I've caught everybody. I think I have, but if I haven't, do shout. Matt Collins is back. And there we go. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
We're in bed by now.
Yeah. It is an R-rated stream tonight, VJ. Bring on all the swears. It's a right.
I'm done. I've used up my monthly supply of swears. In the space of 3 minutes.
I swear a lot. I swear. But
I don't swear very much. My son has taken to saying fricking all the time.
Which,
fricking.
How old is he?
And yelling at his friends to fudge off.
Brilliant.
It's like, I'm not really sure that that's any better. I mean, it's a little bit better, but not much. But then when he said fricking today at the dinner table, he said that was fricking hot, but he didn't sound like that at all. His mum just stared at him until he melted into the ground.
That parent stare of, what did you just say?
Exactly, yeah.
My youngest, the other day, we were talking about something, and we were talking about how someone was an idiot, or something along those lines. It was either a politician or some anti-vaxxer or something like that. And my youngest just went, well, that's because he's a bit of a twat. Ooh, yes, but also, don't say that again.
Dave Henderson got his swears out of training tonight. What were you doing? Was I've got a vision of him like teaching people how to do call centre work and just getting really annoyed with them.
Don't you fucking nine? How fucking hard is it, you prick? Dave, we need to talk to you about your teaching methods with the kindergarten.
Brilliant.
Lazarus is in the house. Hello.
Oh, hello, Lazarus. Nice to see you again. Well, not see you, but nice for you to see us, maybe. I don't know how that works. Nice to see you to see you guys.
It might not be. It's hard to tell, really, these days.
Yeah.
Who
are we again?
I don't know. If you are watching and you are enjoying, do give us a thumbs up. It helps with all of the YouTube, I don't know, the stupidity.
Those algorithms.
Yeah, those algorithms.
Yeah.
Get the algorithm going. So it was quite funny because just before we started, obviously you heard Robin talk, but you didn't see us. He said something, and we talked to each other, and then suddenly his voice repeats himself, and he's like, "What?"
It was quite good. It was quite a good effect. I was quite tempted to see how we could make it go on forever.
Yeah, VJ says that he calls people morons on the road, and his son often points out random cars and asks if they're a moron. Generally, yes. It's safer to assume they are, I think. Oh, Lazarus had a haircut. Ooh.
Oh, I've got mine booked for Friday.
Ah, how will we deal with you, Robin? I mean, you won't be.
And then for the next,
you won't be boy banding anymore.
The next live chat, by the next live chat, I would have had my first vaccine and a haircut.
You'll be super powered. Matt says he gave 2 thumbs up earlier. Thank you very much. Are you
for the Essential Car Pack and the Crimson Court to arrive?
Rob Bridgewater says it's the first time he's jumped on live waiting for the Essential Car Pack and the Crimson Court, which you just said. I realised that, Robin.
Say that. It's the echoey things going again.
Yeah. Welcome aboard, Rob. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you stick around and do come back next time. Matt asked if we were both in the pub last night. I drove past a pub yesterday to drop my dog off at the Grubers, and the garden was just rammed with people. And I know that's meant to be okay now, but at the same time, I was just looking at it going, "Oh God, really? Already?" But I guess it's got to happen sometime, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't really understand. I mean, the pub. I mean, I don't drink very much, so this is. I'm not really the right person to talk about it. But the pub was allegedly dying before COVID, and obviously COVID wouldn't have done any good. But now everybody's desperate to get to the pubs, even though before they were shut, everybody just wanted to be at the supermarket.
Yeah, I did see a thing that Tesco's had done. Rather than us selling our current best offers on beer, why don't you go to your local instead, kind of thing, which I thought was actually quite nice for them to do.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, and there are people queuing for Primark as well, which is fair enough. You need to get some clothes. I saw people on the BBC. There was people queuing for Foot Locker. Yeah, I know you need to wear shoes and your feet might have grown in the off season, but I feel like maybe Foot Locker isn't necessarily the first place I'd queue up to go to.
No, we went to Asda last weekend because my youngest has outgrown all of his shoes during lockdown. So he has no school shoes, he has no gym shoes, he's got no, even his trainers that his day-to-day trainers were too tight, and it's like he's just not said anything for ages and ages.
When my kids had a school trip, they were like, "Don't bring your best trainers, bring old ones." It's like, well, the old ones don't fit. That's kind of how children's shoes work.
Yeah. Generally, kids' shoes don't get worn into get holes worn in them and fall apart unless you buy really cheap ones. Generally, they just outgrow them.
Yeah, they are. I mean, he could bring his old one. I've got his first pair of shoes upstairs. I mean, he could bring those, but I'm not sure they'd be much use.
They might not fit very well.
So anyway, that's probably a big digression, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we're nothing if not. I mean, it's been a couple of weeks since we last were both on the channel together, so
it's true. I missed our ramblings. I was remarkably on point last week.
Well, I did watch a little bit of it. When I didn't have the internet, I could just about get it streamed on my phone, so I was watching it a little bit whilst I was fitting all the models together. And the models, I know we're not talking about them tonight, but the models, these guys are fantastic. I'm not going to focus on it. Oh, that's because it's right. Yeah, there we go. It's because it's all manual focus. I love these. These are ace.
So last week, VJ was thinking of picking up Rippers and the Vampires. He says, "I'm not sure, VJ or Morph. I keep forgetting you're not ready, VJ. You're Morph, aren't you?" We didn't do it in the end. So just going to add more to his pile of shame. I think you should get the vampires, Rippers. They're probably my least favourite models.
Leave them at home. But the vampires, they do look sexy.
Yeah,
it's worth it just for the models.
Both of our sets, haven't you, Pete?
Sorry,
you're actually taking custody of both of our sets, aren't you?
Of the vamps.
Yeah,
I will be. Yeah, they'll be arriving hopefully this Saturday, depending on how the Hobby Hermit and Will and Games do on getting them to me.
Because with Cursed City to paint as well, I'm never gonna paint all the rest of the lizards and the vamps before we meet.
Ildefonso Lazor, hello, you're in the house. Thank you. Ildefonso is one of our latest Patreon joiners, I think, in the last few weeks. So thank you for joining us. Matt says he's going to play Cursed City on the weekend. Loz has picked Bo Bitch, the Exile, just to add in there. Matt's allowed to say that because that's what Loz calls her. Otherwise, you can't really call people bitches these days. It's not very nice.
Fair enough. That came up in the swearing conversation at the dinner table at tea time tonight.
It's tricky, isn't it? I mean, I take great pleasure in using the term bitch whenever I can because my dog's a female, so she is a bitch. But even when you say it in a proper conversation, it feels a bit wrong, like you're being bad.
Yeah. I'm never going to go there. And somebody's going to play the priest. I quite like the priest model. I was trying to decide which four I should play with today, and I can't decide. Pete's got some of the models, so
I've got the absolute,
that makes some of the decisions for me.
I've got the absolute pimp daddy with the pistol and the rapier, who is fantastic, and he goes together so bizarrely as well. And I've also got the female knight. I like her as well. She's quite understated, but I like her. Even though, ironically, she's in that old-fashioned sword up by the head kind of pose. So I guess we should probably start talking about what we actually start the chat tonight about. Strangely enough, the Underworlds Starter box and the Essential Card Pack again. Where should we start, Robin?
I must confess, I'm a bit out of the loop. We're not favoured. We're not favoured sons.
No.
So we haven't seen anything of these cards. So we've only had to rely on. I'm looking at UDB now. It's the only place I've seen the cards. I did listen to the Path to Glory podcast today, and I think Bartosz has written a blog post about it. I don't know whether September has. I missed that. I was quite busy over the weekend, so I missed any content that came out over the weekend. Playing catch up. I guess there's that and the new starter set to talk about, which I know even less about.
We know all the cards are. I think we should start with the. I think that the Essentials pack is a run on from the starter box. So I think we should start with the starter box.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I've got more to say about the Essentials pack, but I'm happy to talk about the starters box.
I don't think we'll have a lot to say about the starters box because there's
not really.
There's nothing spectacular going on there. So anybody who has any questions or any comments about it, as always, obviously do give a shout out about it, and we will try and address them as we jibber jab our way along. Andy Blackjack wasn't a fan of Cursed City. He's even thinking of selling his. Well, I mean, not to digress back too much into that, but we're not 100% sold as yet on it, are we, Robin?
Well, no. To be fair, we haven't played a game.
No, there is that. That is hard.
I mean, we talked a little bit about this on the Patreon Discord today. I saw what Andy wrote on the Facebook page, the Cursed City Facebook group. I didn't know words like that existed. No, I saw what he wrote, and I haven't played it, but I've read through the rules, and there are a couple of things. In fact, our friend Ian, Pete, also made the same observation on the Facebook page, which is that you can get a situation where there's nothing to do. You've killed everything, and because of the way the reinforcement mechanic works, you can be just standing there waiting for the next thing to arrive.
Yeah, that's a bit
obviously, it's a bit.
I'm sure you're waiting for stuff because you're waiting for the card to come out that isn't monsters, but you're waiting for the event or whatever it is that can move.
I think I can't remember exactly how it works off the top of my or how it doesn't work off the top of my head, but it's something like the reinforcements work differently to Blackstone Fortress, and the way they work now is if you kill them at the wrong time, they then it takes a while before they get back in the what's it called? I want to say experience loop. That's the wrong word. Initiative loop.
Oh, right,
yeah, I saw that Joel from Drive-Thru Gaming, somebody shared that with us, I think. Joel from Drive-Thru Gaming didn't like it either. And I have to say, I've read the rules, and I love the models, and I love the ideas behind it, but I do worry that it's a bit of a grind. But I feel like it's an interesting choice. I guess once the boat comes in and the warehouses are stocked, they probably want to ship the stuff as soon as possible. I feel like it's a game to play with your mates, and I'm guessing most people who've played it have played it on their own, because that's the world we live in at the moment. And it doesn't matter if not much is happening if you're playing with your friends, because you just get through it, have a bit of a laugh, or maybe just skip straight to it. When you're on your own, I think that kind of, if something like that happens, that suspension of belief breaks. So you are then taken out of the game, and you actually realise you probably should be doing the washing up, and so it doesn't feel as good.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. So I think obviously to really critique it, we do definitely actually need to play it. But I just have that feeling, in the same way as Blackstone Fortress was, at the end of the day, all these games are, but at the end of the game, it's just rolling dice, trying to break down card-based AI, which isn't the most exciting thing to do on your own. I would actually much rather play Marvel Champions at the moment on my own, because I think the AI mechanic, if you like, is better.
And if you're going to get together in a group of 4 people to play something like that, then you might as well just play a regular role-playing game thing instead. And you'd have to then cough up £100 to actually be able to play it. You just need a rule book and some dice and stuff.
But we've talked about this before. The flip side of that is somebody needs to do some work, whereas this, in theory, you can just pop it down. What dungeon crawl type games been a hit for you? To be honest, since the channel started, we haven't played very many.
No.
And so we haven't. I couldn't really comment on what which ones have really worked. I enjoyed our games of Blackstone Fortress, but we found for the amount of effort it took, it wasn't worth the views that we got. So that's why we stopped. That was more it wasn't just the game, but it was a bit grindy. I have to say, Gavin's just said Journey's in Middle-earth suits him better. I like that more, and it works better solo, because I don't know how different it is, but because the AI is done via an app, you feel like there's some external influence there, and therefore unexpected things are more likely to happen.
Yeah, I think that's the problem when you have the AI-driven encounter system, is that there's only going to be a set number of ways, and you can game it a little bit as well. So when we were playing Blackstone Fortress, we were sitting there going, okay, these are more likely to do this next turn, so I'm going to go and do this, because then that will cut them off before they do it. Whereas if it's a role-play game with a GM, you can say, I'm going to do this because they're obviously going to do that. And then as a GM, if you want to spice up, you then can just go, oh, actually, this happens instead. And then all the players are going, oh, shit, what do we do? So that's always the limitation with these kind of games.
And with an app, even an app doing that, the mechanics behind it is closed off. So you don't know what's likely to happen. Even if the mechanics are the same, you don't actually know. Whereas when you're doing it by card and by rules, then you know what they are. I like the look of course, we haven't played Bard Song, but even the game with that we played, I think it's procedural card-based AI is always going to be a poor substitute for human-driven GM. I think that's just one of the things.
I think so, but that's not what we're here to talk about tonight.
No,
we're here to talk about the starter pack and the new board, the new, I can't remember what they call it now. Is it just called the starter game? It's not got a title, is it? It's just the starter box. So let's talk about the starter box first, I think. So what are your initial thoughts on the new starter box, Robin? For anybody who doesn't know, just to quickly, summarise what it is. It's got 2 new warbands in it. It's got Dreepers, Creepers, and it's got the I don't know, whatever they're called, Fast Striders Mark II with a new Hippogriff Doge. And it has...
dog, by the way.
The dog, Hippogriff dog thing. And it's a bit like Dreadfane in that it's got a set of cards for each that are just warband specific. There's no universals. It doesn't have magic in it. It doesn't have primacy or anything like that. The boards are at least valid boards that you can use, and they're just recycled ones from Nightvault Shadespire sort of days. And that's about it.
Yeah, my thoughts are it's a valid thing.
It certainly is a thing.
It doesn't excite me, but we've been playing for a long time. I can see if you've never played, it might be good. I guess we do. What does it retail at?
I think it's about £40. So it's about, so I'm guessing around 35ish.
Is that cheaper than Chasm, presumably it is.
I think it's around the same sort of price. I mean,
Okay.
it's probably a good way to get 2 warbands on the cheap. So I don't like it for a couple of reasons. The first thing that I dislike about it is the fact that it's all Shadespire branding, as it were. And we've moved on now. We're in like the whole Beastgrave Dichasm Amber kind of branding, and this goes back to the old greeny blue, and it kind of looks all dated. That's the first thing I don't like. Next thing I don't like is the fact that it doesn't contain any of the stuff around magic or scatter tokens or hunters and quarries or primacy. So somebody who buys this as a starter game and then goes, oh, I like this, I'm going to go and get some more warbands. If you buy Averod, well, not Averond's Cursebreakers, for example, but if you go and buy the Wormspell or something, you ain't got any fucking magic dice. What'd you do there? It's a bit shit.
Yeah.
The third thing I don't like about it...
I thought about that.
Yeah, the third thing I don't like about it is the fact that the card art's different. So someone who's new to the game buys that, looks at the cards, gets used to that layout, buys something else and goes, fuck are these cards? They don't look anything alike.
Yeah, but I'm guessing we're going to see new artwork going forward season 5.
Possibly, yeah, possibly on
Good.
that one.
It does herald that there is probably going to be a season 5. They wouldn't bother changing the artwork if they were planning to move into that. That raises the question of why the timing of this game. Is it late because of COVID? Because it would have made more sense to bring it out at the beginning of season 4. Sorry, not season 4. But no, sorry. Is it? I was thinking maybe it's late, but it probably is. Is it too early? Because it would make sense to bring it out if you're going to do all new card art for the new season. Then bring it out at the same time because like you say, if you buy this and then you think, oh, I might get the new vampires or the new orcs that have just come out, then you'll get a totally different art thing, and they come out afterwards. It makes sense. Things change, and sometimes old stuff doesn't look the same as new stuff, but you expect when you buy something new that it then goes on in the same format, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Not going to change the artwork part way through. So it's a bit of an odd timing wise to release it.
And it's things like primacy and stuff like that as well that aren't in the base game. So you're going to have cards that are going to mention primacy and stuff, but as the primacy card is only in Dichasm, people are going to buy things and have objectives that say stuff like, score this when you gain the primacy token. They go, fuck's a primacy token? Never heard of it.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one because you could buy this and you almost still have to buy the Dichasm box set.
Yeah.
Don't you?
So
really?
it feels like a really badly thought out introduction box. You'd be better off buying Dichasm, I feel.
Yeah, it's a funny one. It's a funny one. I know for those of us who have been playing for a long time, then you kind of dive straight in and you get your 2 new warbands, and you've suddenly got 2 new warbands to play in championships and tournaments and things. But they're not that excited, the warbands, from that perspective.
No, they're pretty lackluster. They're not anything spectacular about them at all. There's no funky mechanics, or they're not like the Mournflight, for example.
No.
Ironically, I guess that's probably a good thing because the Mournflight were like incredibly complex to play, and it was meant to be like an introductory game, and they all had these special rules, whereas at least these ones are a bit more simple.
Yeah, they seem to be easier to play for beginners than Dichasm. Yeah, that's true. They are easier to play for Dichasm, and they're easier than, or certainly as Pete just said, they're easier than Dreadfane.
Yeah.
So I think, it's a funny one. It's a funny one. It doesn't scream introduction to me, although I obviously haven't seen the set.
Well, I think even given our lack of knowledge on it, because we didn't get a copy, just based on the pictures and stuff, it looks like just a regular version of like Nightfall, but with some different warbands almost, and the different card arts. But that's about it.
I almost feel like, as an experienced player, and maybe this is the point, but I almost feel like I don't even ever need to worry about this game.
Yeah.
This set. And that might be the fact that we're coming towards the end of over a year of lockdown and I haven't played a physical game for a long time, but I don't really care about this set. I haven't looked at it. I haven't I had a quick look at the cast today because I knew we were talking about it tonight. But there's nothing, by necessity, I suppose, because it's a starter set. But there's nothing new in it. The warbands aren't terribly interesting. They've done Stormcast versus Spookies. This is the third iteration of that. So, yeah, I mean, apart from the fact that I might go to a tournament and somebody would play them against me, I feel no actual need to know anything about this set, apart from the fact that we run a YouTube channel that's devoted to the game.
Yeah, that's kind of the only reason I think that I would buy. The only reason I would suggest nearly anybody should buy it is if they want two relatively cheap warbands, because it's going to be like 35 quid for two warbands, which isn't bad. But other than that, if someone was brand new to the game, they're like, hey, what should I do? I'm really interested in Underworld. Should I get this? I'd be like, no, buy Chasm. It's infinitely a better buy, I think, for the price.
I think so. Or you would. I think I would say you're going to need Chasm if you want to go forward, and so therefore you probably are going to end up buying both.
Yeah.
So bear that in mind, and you won't miss this if you don't buy it, but you will miss Chasm. I mean, the only advantage of this is that it might be slightly easier to play.
I don't see how it's going to be much easier though, because whilst you're missing a few mechanics, like you've not got magic straight away, you've not got primacy straight away, or the hunter quarry mechanic and stuff like that. It's not that big an extra mechanic to add into a game.
I don't think so. I mean, I'd be almost inclined to say, and we'll talk about this in a bit, but almost inclined to say buy Chasm and the Essentials pack, and then maybe the same we could do, Pete. You could put together with the Essentials pack two fairly standard decks with those from Chasm and the Essentials pack to play beginner games.
Yeah.
With because that to me seems going forward a better bet than buying these. Because if you buy these, you're going to have to buy the Essentials pack anyway.
Yeah. I
think.
James Milne asked, is the board going to be legal in Championship/Vanguard? Do we know? As there's not been anything official, but I think given the fact that Underworlds is a introductory pack and is going to be around for however long, I think that the boards will be legal for Championship and Vanguard tournaments.
Yeah, I would assume so. I'm glad I didn't burn those boards.
I think I've still got one. No, it's not one of the banned boards, is it? Or is it? I don't know. It's the one with the 3 blocking hexes on it, I think, and another one. So
okay, they're all in the garage. Maybe if we get enough old boards, if we get a new studio, we can line the walls with them.
yeah.
Garage boards are legal. Sonic Grunge, I don't think I've ever noticed the name before, so hello Sonic Grunge, welcome. There's still the easy start instructions in Chasm, so he's not sure of the point of the new set. James,
true.
Have these ones. Well, if you've not played with them, James, it probably doesn't matter too much, does it? You do well enough.
True.
I don't think there's anything like, none of the boards are particularly massively superior, apart from, I think, isn't the board that I used to choose all the time back.
I think it is. I think Old Faithful is back again.
That decision-making process has become easier for me.
Gavin Scott, I'd be interested to know where you heard those rumours from. Always nice to know where people are talking about this kind of thing so that we can nosy in as well. Henry Rodriguez wonders if this new starter will be widely distributed to non-traditional stores. I mean, I would have thought if GW could get their foot in the door with that, then they would lead with Chasm and stuff instead.
I kind of assume that's why. I mean, it's got the Dice Tower logo on the front of it, which Games Workshop game, the standard core set doesn't, I don't think. So I feel like they will be trying to push it into more traditional game shops.
Could be.
Henry Rodriguez also agree with me that the Chasm Essential Pack is the best way to go. So that's good to know.
I thought of another thing that annoys me about this starter box. I've got a fourth thing that annoys me about.
4 main things that irritate him about it.
And that's the fact that this is meant to be like a starter box. The implication being that it's going to be around, forever, outside of the regular season releases and stuff like that. And I'll bet you anything that in about 2 years' time it'll be rare as hen's teeth. You won't be able to get the fucker anywhere.
No.
Why?
Well, that's capitalism for you, Pete.
I know.
Because next week with the history of economics.
It gets on my tits when they do that kind of thing. I mean, we'll have it, so it doesn't make any difference to me, but there can be so many more people, like they are now, with all the Season 1 warbands and stuff, continually saying, can I play with Season 1 warbands and where can I get hold of them? It's like, yes, you can, and fuck if I know. So,
Can't get hold of them.
Yeah. But there we go.
Yeah.
I would have rather that they'd said, you know, when the seasons rotates out, the warbands rotate out. That would have been. No. I would have been happier with that. Although I wouldn't be able to play Garrett recently.
Lie, you lie, boo! No, I don't agree with. I think at no point in the past would you have been happier if they said to you, right, Pete, it's Nightbolt's finished now, and you can no longer play Reavers. You would not have been happier.
I would not have been happier.
I
would not.
You just said you'd have been happier if they rotated them out. I'm saying you wouldn't have been. Yeah, no more Skaven. You wouldn't have been happier.
Well, as long as they release a new Skaven warband. Hello, Anthony Boyd. Anthony's joined us. That's okay. You haven't missed a lot yet. We're just talking crap for the most part, but that's the whole show, really. I keep calling it a show, and every now and then I catch myself saying that, and there's a little voice in the back of my head going, "Don't be such a poser. It's just two wankers."
37 people watching. That's more or less a show.
Oh, how do we get those numbers up?
My Twitch show got when I was up there.
I said to a friend once, I want to get that note. I want to, you know, he asked us how. I asked us how. He asked me how the show once went, and I said, "Oh, we had about 45 people on. It was great." And he said, "Oh, that's really good." I'm like, "Yeah, I want to add a 0 to the end of that, though. I want to add a 0 to that." No, I said I want to add a 0 to that number, and he's what 045? No, that's not what I wanted at all.
Sonic Grunge thinks it will be around for a while because he saw the Essential Pack cards will not be rotated out. Yeah, I think that's a separate issue, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yes, I think this will be around for a while. But Games Workshop will inevitably want to make new starter sets. And I do wonder, which again we might touch on later, I do wonder whether we might get a Magic starter set down the line as well. Just to
I think they'll do a new...
Our money.
I think they'll do a new Underworlds starter game with 2 warbands that each have casters in, and then they'll introduce magic in that or something like that.
Zante Sukin Q. I don't know if that's how I pronounce that, but I managed to find a Beast Glow starter set as his first one, just going back into mini pages and maybe AOS. Thanks for the content. You're very welcome. AOS is a rabbit hole we haven't really been down.
No.
We'll stick with Underworlds. Underworlds is much easier to get to the table.
Yes, much easier.
And, no more monologue. Matt will be happy. Well, I think we're leaning closer to talking about the Essentials Pack. I think with the Essentials Pack, monologue is pretty much here to stay forever.
So I don't know if anybody has any more questions about the starter box that they want us to answer. I think overall, our opinion of it is ambivalent to slight disliking. It's probably a good summary.
Yeah, I don't want to... Yeah, it is. I don't want to trash it. I just think it's, if you've never played before, I can see it might be good, but then it's not saving you anything.
Yeah.
So, it's like going out and looking for a new car, and somebody saying, "Oh, you should start with this Robin Reliant," and you start with the Robin. You start with that, and they go, "Right now, what you go on? Actually, now if you want a proper car, you've got to buy a new one."
Yeah. You fucking can tell me that in the first fucking place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
What I would be interested to see, and they're not going to do, but I almost would like them to be a separate kind of tournament arena type thing, where they have this and they have the Essentials Pack, and they bring back Shadespire warbands, and they have its own little tournament circuit, and this is just valid with that. Then I can see you get use out of this in a way that you might not otherwise.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mess up everything else.
That's another thing that annoys me about this coming out, is that it's more boards back in rotation for tournaments. It's like I was actually quite happy when we were playing Vanguard having 2 boards and 4 sides to pick from.
Especially best of one, we just pick the same one every time.
Exactly, it was easy, nice and easy. At least there aren't cards in this version, although they're still going to have to put the icon on their list of suitable, things that you can use in Championship, but they're going to have to add this icon to that ever burgeoning list of things so that people can actually use those warbands. So it's just getting silly, the number of things you can use. I think it's about 6 now, 6 things, because you've got the gift set, you've got Arena Mortis, you've got Dire Chasm, you've got Beast Grave, you've got the Essentials pack now, and you'll have these guys. You're going to 6 different things that you can pick cards from.
Yeah. A few more comments coming through. We've got, I'm not sure what ETB. I feel like I should know what ETB is.
Oh.
In remaining matches with decorated bases, not in Underworlds yet.
I'm assuming, I don't know what ETB stands for, David Henson, please let us know, but I'm guessing he just means basically, are there any more warbands out there that have that have molded bases like the
I think I've got these models somewhere. So easy to build. Thank you.
Ah, yes.
Thank you. I've everybody's so easy to build. Of course, yes. I'm not sure there are. I can't remember. But I think I must have some of these in the garage somewhere. So I need to dig them out and paint them. And the fact they put the overall theme icon on the cards as far as order and death, etc. Yes, we didn't comment on that. I feel like they're trying to work into card text at some point. Yes, I am.
I really do worry that they're going to add this new thing again, where you're going to be able to do some way of combining warbands or cards or something, and that's only then going to be good for obviously new warbands, and all the old warbands are then going to be trailing behind on that front, which will be a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, and I don't really feel like the Grand Alliance thing really works for me, and it's I'm a bit worried about it in the sense that I think it might force constraints on the game, or not even constraints, just artificial alliances and whatever that the game doesn't need.
Yeah,
so it makes it more complicated. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean, I worst case scenario, they put this icon on there that they never use and reference in the rules, but why would you add an icon to a card that you now have no intention of using? It's just taking up space. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I'm not.
Especially as far as I can tell, the icon looks really, really like the Ravagers icon.
It does, yeah. The Order one's like, oh yeah, because Order and Ravagers are so similar. I mean, I've got a whole different set of issues with the whole Grand Alliance stuff anyway, but yeah, that's a different argument to talk about at some point.
Story.
Aragian Argo says he'd love to see more erratas for the old warbands. The teasing with so many of them on the new cards. Yeah, I mean, I don't see us getting any new cards for the old warbands ever.
But that's kind of what I was saying when I would say I would like to have so little kind of shades by a classic, maybe rework the warbands and then have its own little tournament scene, which is not going to happen, but that's what I quite like. It'd be quite nice to see some new. We've talked about a lot, but new cards and the new warbands repackaged, because as you've already said, there's lots of people who want them.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a market for them.
Henry Rodriguez says Grand Alliance could be part of an alternate play variant like the Arena Mortis, or more likely one allowing players to pick fighters to form war. Well, they did that thing about the Grand Alliance and picking.
Yeah, isn't that what it's called? But it just might bring it back.
I don't think anybody plays that because it's like an offshoot subset of rules that no one cares about, so no one bothers with it. And also, the minute Chasm came out, all the new warbands don't figure into it because obviously GW don't bother keeping this stuff up to date. So
that's the other problem. And they can't even keep the main. I know he's up to date now, I believe, but they can't even keep the main war website up to date.
It's not now. Since Chasm came out, they haven't done any of the new warbands.
Okay, fair enough. I thought it was up to date, but now it's not.
They did for a short period.
Mr. Syntax says he's really enjoying our Vanguard Plus format, which I think we'll probably talk about when we're doing our talking about essentials. That's our tournament, our Patreon tournament, which you can join in with season 3 if you become a patron of our channel. Which we've got. I think we have 30 people this season playing on Tabletop Simulator.
I think we got if we didn't hit 30, it must be a multiple of 4. I think
so 32.
32,
yeah, so even more than 30, yeah. It's been really fun, but it's Vanguard Plus, which is going to have to change. We haven't quite defined how yet, but that is, so we're using only the season 4 universals for any warband. Yeah, it's been really good fun, but the essentials pack is going to put a spanner in the works, but we'll sort that out.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody else has any more questions about the starter pack. Overall, anybody who is new to the game, who hasn't bought into it yet, but is just watching this kind of stuff on the off chance and thinking, oh, what's this Underworld stuff all about? I think my general feedback would be don't buy the starter pack, buy Chasm.
Well, I think mine would be slightly more positive than that, but mine would be is if you do buy it, you're still going to have to buy Diachasm. So if you don't want to buy both, then buy Diachasm. But if you don't mind buying both, then get both. That would be my what I would say, because I think everybody likes to play as many warbands as they can. So you get 2 new ones, even if they're not the most exciting. James,
that's the only thing I think is any good.
Yeah, James has said, which is an interesting point. He think it could be just a way to restrict certain cards to particular sets of warbands. That's a good point. It could be, couldn't it? It could be like a sort of flavour of universal card that can only be used on certain warbands.
The thought of that fills me with even more dread. With
complexity to the deck building.
That fills me with even more dread than knowing that GW will start to release an errata saying this card is actually usable by destruction and chaos, and this card can only be used by this and that. But actually,
it might get around some of the problems that we have discussed. For example, the curse breakers and magic. They if they, I mean, I know they haven't got the logo, so it's a bit difficult to retrofit. But if, for example, they were this Order Grand Alliance, and magic boosting cards came out, or decent spells came out, but they were only for all the other factions, then that gets around the problem of boosting the curse breaker, releasing magic cards that automatically boost the curse breakers.
But that would penalise any other order-based warbands like the cow elves if they want to use magic.
I'm not sure that's the end of the world.
Yeah, it could be. Backwards compatibility is a big issue with this game, as Joseph Bigman said, especially since some of us don't know the lore as much. Definitely, I mean, we don't follow the lore at all. So sometimes they add these kind of things in, like the Grand Alliance icons, and a lot of people just sit there going, what does this even mean?
No. And you also get the idea from a company like Games Workshop that actually somebody at the top said, oh, well, we ought to have the Grand Alliance on there because that's one of our things. And so they've had to put them on. And then, I'm not saying it's Stalin-esque, but, they've had to put them on just to appease somebody at the top. Yeah. It's a corporate thing rather than an actual game design thing.
One of the head designers or something just said, well, we need to push the Grand Alliance thing. Let's add that in now, and maybe we'll work it into the rules later on. Yeah.
Ben Howard says an errata will come out post Crimson Court and this new set. You reckon? I hope so. They do seem to be on top of the game, mostly, apart from the lack of errata for some time. So I don't
know. Because we've been so out of it for a long time, I'm not aware of many current big problems with the cards and stuff like that. So
ferocious resistance.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. There's that one. There's a few others where the wording's a bit dodgy, but they feel more like the wording is more obvious now that everybody can agree it's almost definitely X, but you could argue it could be Y, and therefore we just need the errata to shut people up. Whereas I feel in Season 1 and 2, there were some cards where it's just like genuinely no idea which way this is meant to go.
Yeah, I feel like we don't play with them, but I feel like some of the Arena Mortis cards again probably need a bit of a tweak. Well, not a tweak, but a restriction. One or two of them.
Clubbing with a hammer.
Yeah. So should we move on to essentials if everybody's happy with finishing our start set?
Let's talk about some essential stuff.
I mean, to be honest, Pete, you're essential to me.
Oh. For me, I think you are probably quite dispensable.
Thanks.
No! Come back, we love you. It was all a lie. Robin's called my bluff, and now I am his bitch. Oh dear. There wouldn't be an Agents without the two of us.
See you, Ed. Ed's off to bed. He can't do that. He can't do that.
Go to bed. Right. Okay, do you want to start on the Essentials pack? What are your thoughts? I'm going to guess that they're more negative than the starter box.
When I first heard about it, I was devastated, and I actually was like, I think this might actually mean I stop playing the game. Stop doing that. I kind of thought what I loved about the changes were that they got rid of great strength, great fortitude, and great speed to a lesser extent, because they were cards that were just too powerful. Every deck had great strength in it, pretty much. I mean, why wouldn't you? and so I'm so pleased when they got rid of them. So therefore, I was so gutted when they brought them back. And we have had a lot of fun across our little Vanguard tournament because, as somebody said in the comments somewhere, the card language is better, the card design is better. They've got many more ideas. I love the little primacy game within the game at the moment. There's so many little cards that can push primacy back and forth. I really like that. I think it's great. But and maybe this will affect it slightly. I don't really thought about it, but people still going to play primacy. But things like cards like Proud Runner and some of these ploys like Fade Strength, Faint Weakness, they're just not as good as the cards that are in the Essentials pack. So those fringe cards, which you could have interesting interactions, are out the window. That said, in full championship, I don't know how much that goes on anyway because we haven't been playing it and I haven't been keeping up. Ben says it's for new players who need to catch up and get their cards to bulk up their new starter. Absolutely, that's the positive thing about it. If you have, if you're going to have a set like the new starter, then I think you need something like this to bolster it. And it's a really good move to have cards like. Well, the cards that were included in the starter set, it's a really good move. If you're going to keep including those, it's a good move not to put those in every single core set because, you don't...
Just get the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Because that is tedious every time you buy the new card. But Ben has said it's not for vets. Well, the box itself isn't for vets, but the cards in it are so good that the vets are going to use them, even though they might not actually buy it. But actually, a lot of us will because we like to keep that with new art and there's some new wording. And so, although we don't have to buy it, we might buy it. Most of, I think, 75% of people will buy it. And like I say, I don't think the game needs great strength anymore. It's certainly, I don't feel like it needs a mighty swing where it is at the moment.
Yeah.
And there are some good card choices. I've actually written it down. I left it over there. There are some good cards.
Fine.
But I'll see if I can find
one of the things that annoys me about it is because they've reintroduced things like great strength. We also have things like savage strength, and we have savage speed and thingy armor. The one I can't remember, the one that gives you a wound and puts you on guard, stuff like that. You can only play in your opponent's side instead of having great strength, great fortitude, and great speed. So the thing that really bugs me is that they're probably like they did in season 1. Where they had great strength and they had, I can't remember whatever the other one was that gave you +1 damage, even greater a strength than that. They ended up.
I've got crab.
Oh, okay. They ended up restricting incredible strength or whatever it was called, because you couldn't have 2 +1 damages for free. So they're gonna have to restrict either ferocious strength or great strength. Chances are they'll restrict great strength, I think, because it's got no downsides. And it's not got any kind of double-edged sword mechanics to it, whereas ferocious strength does with the -1 defense dice. Problem with that is they're releasing a pack of cards which are like the essential pack that they're going to restrict a load of cards in it, and that to me just feels really shit. And I've got no positive to say about that. I mean, some of the cards you've got in the essentials pack are obviously good for beginners, but then you've got like the hold objectives 1 to 5 and stuff. Woo, thanks a lot for that. But that's for your starters. So the fact that they're going to have a load of cards in the Essentials pack that are then going to become restricted when they didn't really need to bring them back at all just gets on my tits.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, so everybody's decks were much more predictable now and less interesting cards will be used, and it does. I think it's kind of what you were just saying, but it wastes all of the newly designed cards that have a plus and a minus to them, which I totally agree with.
Yeah.
I did wonder whether it's a game balance thing. So if they basically bought in these core 60 cards, they know that a certain percentage are going to be taken with them, so they can then. It's easy. I feel like it's easier to balance the game because a more interesting game is harder to balance, and so it's a flip. They're trying to juggle two things. There's a need to have a balanced competitive game along with keeping it interesting, and this kind of cuts down on the amount of interesting cards they need to make because people won't take them, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I think from somebody who's been really enjoying the game recently and the way we've been playing it, I find it a bit disappointing. I'm a little bit worried that it's going to skew the meta too far the aggressive way. But we moan about that all the time, one way or the other. So perhaps that's not something that is a problem.
Elder Franz Lazard does say that the Essential Pack's cool because from now on the season core sets will contain only new cards. Well, they could just make the season core sets contain only new cards anyway and not bother printing Great Strength and Great Fortune and all that, and the world would have been just as happy, I feel, without them.
I think there are some cards, though, which are good to have in the game, and I guess people always argue over what they are. I mean, I listen to the Path to Glory podcast, and they're obviously much more competitive than we are, and they were very much saying, "Oh, these are a great card. This is a great card. It's a great card." But I feel like they were more saying it in terms of it's a really strong card.
Yes.
And therefore it's great if you want to win, if you've got it. I mean, obviously, it doesn't necessarily mean you win because everybody can take it. But I don't know whether they really were looked at or even thought about whether it's actually good for the game as a whole. And so there's two different things going on. You can have cards that are good and make for good attacking play or whatever, but are they good in one sense, but are they good for the game? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, from a competitive sense, that the Essentials pack is essential, I think, if you're playing competitively. Obviously, you don't need to buy it if you're a competitive player because you probably already own all the cards, but you'll probably buy it anyway for the newer art and slightly different wording style.
But there's some good cards in there. I mean, not good cards, but there's some solid cards in there that I think nobody really minds. Sidestep, I think, okay, there are some alternatives to Sidestep, but it's a strong card. Distraction is there, which is a really good thing.
Confusion.
Mirror Move, Centre of Attention, Jewel of Wits, they're all good, balanced cards, I think.
Yeah.
So there is definitely a call, lots of people said in the comments, there's definitely a call for a core set of cards, which is always in the game, which never rotate out, which and you don't have to keep buying because they're in the starter set, the core set. The problem is it's agreeing what those cards are, I suppose. And I don't think this pack is 100% right. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was when I went through it. If you see what I mean.
There's still some oh god kind of cards in there that you just know are going to be in every deck until they get restricted. Because
the only thing he's happy about is Healing Potion just for Silverleaf. And I would agree up to a point. I mean, until recently, I don't think anybody would have picked Healing Potion, really. Maybe they're the outlier. Would have taken out Healing Potion in their competitive deck. It never got used, really, in Nightbolt, Beastgrave days. But because the Voltron meta is so strong now, it's a really strong card. And it's a really strong card for the big wound boys. I think that's a shame. I don't feel like Morgoth's Morlog needs some of the help that they're getting in this pack. I mean, they're getting Commanding Stride, they're getting the Greats cards, they're getting Fighters Frosty and Glory Seeker, which I think they can still take. I'm not sure. Morlog, Morlog can use. I think if he gets 2 Stormcast, he can use Glory Seeker on his siding attack. I think.
And you've got Great Swing as well, or Mighty Swing rather, which is another kind of card. I think Henry Rodriguez said that he doesn't mind the release because it's helpful for newbies stuff, but his main problem, which I think we're in agreement with, is the fact that the card selection that's been given, and I think I agree there. I don't per se have a problem with an Essentials card pack that is an evergreen pack, but I don't like the cards they've put in this one.
And there's always going to be arguments over what should be in there and what shouldn't be in there. I mean, people were saying they wanted to see Ready for Action for old time's sake, and obviously we have personal reasons for wanting to see Ready for Action in there, but compared with what the cards now is, it's a far too strong, so you were never going to see it.
I mean, you got Visions of Glory, and that is pretty much what Ready for Action probably should have always been. It's much tougher to implement. You need 2 Glory to use it because you need the one to put it on, and then the one to actually you have to spend a Glory to remove it, or spend a Glory to actually then take the charge counter off, or whatever it is. So it's not as easy to use as just put an upgrade on, slap them again. And the other thing that bugs me, and someone mentioned it in here as well, I can't remember where it is now exactly, but another thing that bugs me is the fact you can bet money on the fact that these won't be purchasable in about a year. GW won't keep the card stock up to date, and then they won't be buyable. They won't be purchasable by anybody, and then you're going to have this problem again where there's going to be another icon swimming around on these tournament valid lists of stuff, and half the people who have just got into the game will be like, what's this? I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't even know where can I get it from. And everyone's like, oh no, you can't buy it, but you can use it, but you can't buy it.
I feel like I just really hope they don't do that. Having gone to the step of making this essentials pack, I really hope they don't get to the point where they then it goes out of stock. I mean, there isn't any excuse for it. They don't go out of stock of their books. So
I'd bet money on this. Just like the Necromunda card stuff goes out of stock the minute they put it up for sale, and then they never get any more in.
Yeah, you're right. I just if they've gone to the level of doing this, then it's wrong if it does go out of stock.
Yeah, but and that's why this also bugs me, is because I see that GW will do that, and they'll just do their usual thing of, oh, we've produced a thing. No, we're bored with that now. Next thing, we've produced a new thing. What about the old thing?
Yeah, they are always looking forward. They really look back.
Yeah,
that is true.
And that's one of the problems we've discussed in the past about capitalism, and it keeps the game going, but it just feels like you're hurtling down the road in a car as bits are sort of just falling off, and it's like, yeah, we're still going forward and we're still doing new stuff, but all those bits that we just keep losing are just make the game even more hectic or hassle to try and play, and also plays bloody havoc with collecting nerds like a lot of us are, when you want to buy all of the things, and then someone goes, oh yeah, all of season 1's warbands, you can use all of them still. Can't buy them, but you can use them.
And they've changed the art as well. That's going to really throw
that I don't like the new art on the new cards either. I have to say, the new art.
I like it. I don't dislike it. Let's put it that way.
I don't know if it's just the quality of the cards. The ones on Underworld DB, just looking at the warband cards, they just look so much. They just look worse to me. Maybe it's just the card images that are on there, and they'll look better in person. But I don't like
change.
Sorry.
They don't like change.
Don't like change. No, we don't like change. Some of it I don't mind, but it's things like the way they've done the new icons for wounds and for defense and stuff like that. It's just the old way looked better, I feel. Yeah.
There's a recovering Gathering player. James says he's used to the idea of having tournament legal stuff he can't get hold of. Interesting. I kind of I mean, I've never played. I thought that they were more self-contained, actually, so they didn't hark back to seasons and seasons ago stuff that was legal. They may even do similar things from season to season, where they add more and more cards to the permanent card pool. Yeah, we talked a little bit of that on the Discord as well, about whether they might end up doing a Hunter Essentials, Munter? Magic and Hunger Essentials pack. Ben's got to go to work. Cheers, Ben. A couple of really good points you made about the Essentials deck, so thanks for that.
And some people have mentioned as well that that the Essentials pack doesn't have any spells in, but that's because I think part of the fact is that they want it to tie in with the starter box. So you buy the starter box, you play a few games with that, you go, cool, you've got the hang of it. Here's an Essentials pack. Now you can start building your own decks. Ooh, this is all getting a bit more interesting. So they couldn't put Magic in there, or else people would be sitting there going with their Jeepers Creepers or their Fast Riders V2 and going, why have I got a spell card? I can't use this.
Yeah, exactly. And as Ben's pointed out, they don't have the Hunter keyword, so there wouldn't be any Hunter cards in here. But going down the line, maybe they would. I just don't know. Because you just never idea what they're going to do.
No, you can never tell. You can find, like, at the end of the season, they go, right, we're done, thanks, goodbye. We're going to move on to something else now because we're a bit bored with this. You just can't tell what the hell they're going to do. I wonder. I don't know. I don't think they would do this, but there was obviously that Bladeborn game, which was like a cross between Warcry and and Underworlds. I wonder if they're using like the Alliance card format art or something. Maybe that would get tied into that somehow.
Ooh, interesting idea. Yeah,
you could have a Crusher and a couple of Gits and maybe a Squig or something like that in a warband or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Sonic Grunge said Magic Pack would be very welcome, especially a buff to Vortimus, being as he's supposed to be the best Magic user in the whole game, but usually it's useful as a chocolate kettle. Yeah, absolutely true. The problem with that is, of course, the Curse Breaker effect. But
and possibly the vampires to an extent now, because there's two casters in the vampire.
I'm a bit worried the vampires are going to have their own Curse Breaker effect with their ability to not really give a shit about inspiring, and
they're
then
just
also
fucking awesome,
acting left, right, and centre.
Like, oh, you've got a hunger counters. Oh, that's such a shame. You're now a lot better. Oh, you've not got any hunger counters. That's such a shame. You're now a lot better. So it doesn't matter which way. No, it doesn't matter. You're fucking great either way. Oh, okay. And hunter, does that matter? Yes, but you're all hunters, so you're all a lot better. Seeing
Will
a
there be
pattern.
some quarries when we leave Gur in the next season? That's a good question. I guess there will be. Have to be the season after, but yeah, will they be in whatever they call the next?
I don't know where they're going to go to next. I wonder if will they go to like Shaish or something?
Different. Yeah, it's going to be maybe. Yeah,
Ulgu, like Shadow. I'm trying to work out because you've got the Lizard Men seem to be coming out soon because they've released the new Lord Croak model, but they've got the Broken Realms stuff going on. Yeah. What warband? Everyone, give us a shout out in the chat. Which realm do you think GW might go to next, and why? I think because they. Sorry.
I don't know very many.
Well,
I reckon it's going to be a shadowy one.
So either like Ulgu, which I think is the realm of shadow, which is where Malarian and all of the
Malaria.
what they call malaria. Yeah, there's a lot of malaria there. The dark elves and that. I know they're not dark elves anymore, but they're still bloody dark elves, right? The dark elves and stuff hang out, or maybe Shaish, where like the dead realm is. Although they've done quite a few undead in this one, so
yeah, I kind of feel like it. Like, for some reason, that feels like a natural progression, especially if you're going to kill the Beast Grave, like a dead place. Seems like it might be.
It feels to me, especially as they made a big thing about the fact that Kixie Taka is carrying a device to kill the Beast Grave. It seems very much anticlimactic if they go, it didn't work, still there. Just they've got the MacGuffin to move things along, so they're going to use it. But where do they go next?
I think it might be the realm of metal, or the realm of maybe of light. James Mill says, "Isn't it Shadespire in Shaish? Is it?"
No, I think Shadespire was its own. I don't know
maybe.
actually. Maybe it was. Maybe it was.
I thought it was trapped between the realms, but
I think it was. I think the original city of Shadespire was in Shaish, and then they pissed Nagash off, so he then went and cursed up their ass. Right.
Sonic Grunge, as I said, made a comment that I understand about every third word of.
Hagnar, that sort of. What the fuck's Hagnar? What's that? Is that even a realm? Or are you just making words up?
And that sort of realm. The realm has been ravaged in the recent lore. Oh, I see. That's the Marathi storyline that I haven't been following.
Okay. That makes a bit more sense. Yeah, because Marathi's trying to become a god. But the Malarian, which was Malekith, the old dark elf bloke in charge, and his dragon have been merged together and become a new sort of.
Oh, I was actually right. It is between the realms.
There we go.
Wow. I do listen. Hagnar is where Marathi lives.
Okay.
She's grumpy all the time. She's in a place called Hag. It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
I to go back to Odelfonte's question about will there be hunters and quarries wherever we go next if it's not in Gur, I sincerely hope so. Really do hope that they keep that mechanic because I quite like it. They just need to use it more. I feel like they need to make it worthwhile keying into being quarry or making you do things to make your opponent a quarry to really build off that, because right now there's a few cards that play lip service to it that don't really make it worthwhile at all.
John Grant said Ulgu would allow the Shadow Elves from Warcry into Underworlds. Interesting. Yes, that would be quite cool. I just don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Are they going to? They effectively have to choose. Are they going to keep Hunter Quarry going forever, or at some point they have to stop it? Which means you'll have one season where it's half there, and then after that it won't be there anymore. And I don't. From a design point of view, from a selling point of view, I don't know what the best thing to do is. Are they going to want to keep making new things, and you're going to get too many things? If you see what I mean?
It already feels like they've got enough new things in there with all the different.
But they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. So
exactly.
It does feel like that, but that whatever season 5 is going to have some new thing, and that's what Dave Sanders will be working on. I don't know if anybody else has noticed. They've advertising for jobs galore. Whether that's because they've got rid of their old team and are bringing in a whole new team, or whether they are actually expanding the range and the scope of the game. But I think they've got 3 jobs for Underworld/Warcry writers. Now,
think
it could be that Warcry is their main thing, and there are Underworlds on the side. But
they were
3
advertising for Kill Team as well, and I'm sure I've heard or read, well, not heard, but I'm sure I read somewhere that someone said that before they had one person doing all of those jobs, and now they're putting specific people into each of those roles instead. So maybe they've decided that they need to concentrate on all these little sub games more than they have been, and then they want to get individuals to concentrate.
One of the jobs is a product development role, so they're clearly trying to think of ways, probably a bit like the starter set, ways of expanding the world and the system and the games. Is that good? I think it probably is good, but it can get burdensome. I mean, just trying to keep up. It's been hard this week. You've got Curse City coming out, which a lot of us have been interested in, and you think, well, you shell out on that, and then suddenly they go, actually, yeah, we're also doing this starter set and the new vampires all within a week of each other, and that's heavy duty. So I'm not sure how much extra Underworlds I could take. Certainly, I mean, we pretty much had to give up on Warcry because we couldn't keep up with the role.
I wonder if, well, I think we sort of partially gave it with Warcry because it didn't really gel for either of us because we prefer hex-based games and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I would love for them to create a hex-based Warcry game, and I think we talked at one point about, or on the Discord at least, we talked a little bit about trying to create a 1-inch hex board, or using the Underworlds boards to represent 2 inches of hex or whatever, and try and play Warcry that way. But I would love, and I'm still really interested to find out what Bladeborn's going to be like when it comes out, but I'd love a hex-based sort of version of Warcry.
Yeah. So somebody suggested we might have some demon war bands. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not one they've done yet. That'd be quite cool.
Yeah.
They could do...
Cities of Sigmar. Can't see it happening, but I'd love to see Cities of Sigmar warband.
I mean, it's a little bit more likely now that they've, Cursed City. We've got vampire hunters, and we've got ogre mercenaries.
Vampire hunter warband. We talked about that last week. I think that would be the dog's bomb. I say all enemy vampires become quarry, and you gain ensnare and cleave against them. I mean, I don't know what I don't know that I even care which realm they go to next. I mean, it'd be probably nice if they didn't go to like fire or something like that, just because fire's a bit dull. I think fire's a bit overdone in the whole GW scene. It's like, and it's on fire. He's walking across the ground, and it's on fire. He's carrying a sword, and it's on fire. Like, yeah, everything's on fire. We get it. It's skulls on fire. That's all you've got. But aside from that, I don't think I mind which realm they go to next. I'm sure whatever they do, the imagery will be absolutely fantastic. I'm just keen to see what the mechanics end up doing, what they add in or take out. Yeah, I mean, there will be new stuff, and it's just a question of like you say, what they drop out. People are suggesting that they think it will be sticking around. Joseph Bingham thinks primacy around for a long time, especially with headcrackers. That is very true. It's intrinsic to how headcrackers work, isn't it? So I think that will be, it's going to have to stick around. I actually, as a mechanic, I quite like it. I think it was, I know there's a very objective heavy meta. I don't think that's an objective aggro heavy meta at the moment. I don't think that's entirely primacy's fault, but I do enjoy the nip and tuck of winning back the primacy token. It's almost as more fun than the real game.
I've certainly had that element in some of my games where you suddenly think, oh, I've got this card, so if I do this and I get the primacy token, I'll score that objective. And then if I play this card, I'll give the primacy token to them, and then in the end phase, I'll score underdog because they'll have the primacy token, that kind of thing. So,
in my last game, I drew into underdog, and my opponent immediately played feign strength, and my heart broke.
Oh.
It's like, bugger, I can't score that now. I was odds on to score it because I'm playing despoilers, and now I can't.
Damn it all. I played one game and I had the card which is give the primacy token to your opponent and gain a spent glory, and then I had the one which is get the primacy token back from your opponent. So I thought, excellent, now all I've got to do is charge and kill someone and I'll get it back. And of course I missed, so I didn't get it. But I had underdog, so I was like, I don't care, I'm going to score 2 glory anyway. Cause...
That's what you want.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think overall, the Essentials pack, I'm just disappointed by. I don't mind the
Try
idea.
to be positive. Are there any cards that you do like that you're really glad to see back? Because I've written down. I think I've already said what they were quickly, but I've written down 5 cards that I am pleased to see. So are there any cards that you?
It
Happy to see?
depends. Depends on whether it's me using them or facing them. But I guess some of them are like, I don't mind seeing things like Conquest and Denial again. I don't mind seeing Duel of Wits. I don't mind seeing. There's a couple of other cards now that have escaped my mind. I can't remember exactly what they are. There's a few in there that I don't mind seeing. Mirror Move, for example, those kind of things. So what's your list look like?
Mirror Move, I think, is the best game. We'll get best card in the game.
Pure Carnage is another one someone's mentioned, which is quite a cool one.
Pure Carnage, yeah. I'm pleased to see that, particularly since I'm playing the Despoilers at the moment. Although they have their own almost equivalent, I'm not sure whether you played both. But
yeah, you got to go heavy on it all. Can you imagine being wiped out at the end and scoring 5 glory?
Well, you can't score 5 if you only have 1 left, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is you're more likely to brick if you're holding both. Andy Wick says he likes hold objective 1 but dislikes hold objective 2 to 5.
Well, everybody wants objective 1 around because you've got didn't want it anyway. Or didn't really want it, whatever.
I'm torn with those. I understand why they're in the box, but they're as big a waste of printed cards as they were.
Like Joseph Bigman said, he's really thrilled to have hold objectives 1 to 5 back. He really missed having cards he could use as dividers.
Or cards you use for when you proxied them.
Yeah. So what were your other cards?
So I don't think I particularly liked any of the objectives, although I'm quite pleased to see making a statement back, because I quite like trying to build a deck that can score making a statement. And there are a few ways to score that, especially with flipping tech.
But there's a better one now, because there's Treasure Hunters.
Treasure, I can't remember I meant to look that up, but
that's
I did.
2 objectives in your opponent's half.
Okay. Well, making a statement is just hold it.
All, isn't it?
All. So it could be better or it could be worse.
True.
But yeah, I like that. No Remorse isn't bad. It's not a bad card. It's a fairly reliable aggro surge. That's not too bad. Path to Victory, I don't mind being back. I mean, Aman and Jonathan, they named their podcast after it. I can't even play it. I find it just pulls me out of position horribly. I've never tried to. I just hate it.
But that's good.
I don't mind being back. But it's a balanced card.
Yeah.
You've got quite a difficult thing to do, and you get 2 glory, and it doesn't suit the Voltron meta particularly.
Yeah.
It's quite a balance. I quite like that. I think that's fine being in there. Strong Start, I'm not sure about, because I think that does.
It's a bit of a just print to win almost. Yeah.
I think the game needs supremacy, even though I'm not sure who takes it.
Well, at least it gives objective warbands a little bit more of a chance. I mean, like the Starblood Stalkers, I think would take supremacy quite often.
Possibly.
Going
in full championship meta, I don't know whether the ones that give there's so many hold two objectives. I don't know whether supremacy makes the cut now. But
one other one I quite like is Branching Fate. It's always a bit of a nice one to have, because you haven't got to actually score a hit or anything. You just got to roll 3 different values, and there's a lot of re-roll tech going around, so that's not a bad one necessarily.
John Grant, Season 5 predictions that you got me here. Witch Hunters with Flagellants, Shadow Elves from Warcry, Clan Eshin Skaven, Death Battle Skeletons for a start. That's his.
Yeah, surely it would be Clan Scryer, like VJ said. I don't know, actually. I think Eshin would be more flavourful.
VJ says, is Earthquake in the game or in the Central Pack? No, or Shargale. Neither of those are in the box, VJ.
I think Shargale would be way too powerful now.
I would love those cards. Sisters of Sigmar. That's a good interesting choice as well.
Dave Hudson says, yes, take my money, John Grant. There you go, John. Just got to stop printing it up.
Start making them, John. You can take whoever said that's money. Eshin for Ulgu. There's a phrase that if you don't know what we're talking about, you wouldn't know what we were talking about.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Toys, I really like Centre of Attention. I think that's a good card, although it's a little bit frightening with Mighty Swing and Mollog in the game. But it's an interesting card with an interesting effect.
It's fantastic for like warbands like Garrick, where you've got either Garrick or Saik, and they're your only 2 chances, or Draknar in the Despoilers and stuff. It's not so bad then, because you've got like that linchpin thing. But when you're running around with Hrothgorn or Mollog, I don't like that card. Duel
of Wits, as I said, I think that's a good card to have in there. Determined Effort, it's just +1 dice to the sack action. Nobody ever used to take it, but now, I'd stick it in a deck, and certainly in the Vanguard format. Daylight Robbery, that's a bad choice, because that's already restricted.
And it will just become restricted again, I assume, as soon as it comes back in.
The Gits, just spoilers, player in me loves Inspired Attack being back in the game.
It's not a bad card. It's not a bad card for a lot of warbands that can inspire relatively easily. So,
I mean, he's only on range 1 attack actions. Godsworn Hunt, it's brilliant for. It's one of those ones that kind of needs to be restricted to 3 wound fighters or something like that. Because it's a bit strong. Inspired Command is quite a good card. I've forgotten this card completely. Choose 1 friendly fighter other than your leader. Pick 1, push the chosen fighter 1 hex, or give the chosen fighter 1 guard type.
Is that a ploy?
It's a ploy, yeah.
Okay.
That's quite a good card.
Not bad.
But it's a balance card. It's got you can't put it on your leader, but it's an extra push or guard. It's got. And that's kind of what I was looking for, and that's why some of these cards are good. A reasonable choice is Lethal Ward. I think is okay. If you're dealing somebody damage on an objective token, that's okay.
That's great for people like Werbspat that just want to do some ping damage on people. That's a
there is
fantastic.
a really good card for Werbspat. Army of One being one of them, and Champion's Fortitude. Champion's Fortitude reroll 1 dice in the fighter's defense rolls.
Yeah,
pretty tasty for Werbspat.
There's some really random ones as well, like No Time and Misdirection. Like, who's going to take them ever?
Well, those cards again, and that's why it almost needs its own little sub meta where you might actually play some of these cards, but in a full pool, you probably never play in Misdirection. No Time in the right deck, I think, can be good, but I've never been able to play it. But it's an interesting effect, but then it has. As I've said already, it's got Mighty Swing in it, which I think in the current meta is a really bad choice.
Joseph Bingham's just said that he realised that Kixie Taka hard counters Stalag Squig. Random thought. What? How do you mean he hard counters him? Please explain. In no more than 20 words. What else isn't there?
Move an objective, can't you? Out from underneath him.
No, he flips it.
I thought it was flip. Oh, was it flip? Okay.
It's flip or do 1 damage to somebody within 1 hex fit or something. I think so.
I'm not sure.
It's nice to see things like Sidestep back. Shifting Shards is a weird one, but actually something that might actually be quite useful because there's other versions of Shifting Shards but aren't quite as good as Shifting Shards because that's just take 1 and shove it a hex as long as it's not.
Yeah, it's in an empty hex as well.
Yeah.
So I compare with Mischievous Spirits, which is not in this pack. So it's notable that Distraction and Mischievous Spirits aren't in here. That's good. But Sidestep I'm a little bit torn on because it's a very, very strong card. However, it's the sort of card that is nice to have, knowing you've got it. You know what I mean? It kind of, although everybody has it and it's very powerful. James Mills just said they're way too powerful. They are very powerful, and you do need the odd easy win. I think maybe Sidestep. Maybe you don't need Sidestep. Maybe that's just me being a traditionalist.
I see what Joseph Bigger means now. That Stalag Squig, if he sits on an objective, you can kill him in 2 turns. You can't kill him in 2 turns because he can only use his thing to activate in 1 in 1 round. So you'd have to do it over 2 rounds. But you could just at the end of 1 round, do it, put a wound on at the beginning of the next round, do another one, and just kill him off.
I'm not sure. I'm really not happy to see Julie's Speed back. I think that's. I just don't like it.
That can be a very, very strong card.
Yeah. I don't think gaining that. And then I'm really not sure about Fighter Frosty and Glory Seeker. So they Fighter Frosty, a critical hit has +1 damage. Glory Seeker +1 damage if they have a target fighter with wounds characteristic of 4 or more. I kind of feel like it ought to be if they've got more wounds than you, rather than 4 or more. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's no glory in mono flattening Cursebreaker.
But there was a card in the latest, I think, the Vampire set, and it's badly worded, but it's something along the lines of you pick a fighter who has the least wounds and they get some benefit against people who have more wounds than them or something like that. And there's also an objective around.
I quite like that card, except it's not clear whether you have to be uniquely the lowest wound.
That's an example of where they need an errata just to actually clarify what the bloody hell the card means, rather than just to clarify that.
I think it does mean you don't. I think you don't have to be uniquely, but it's not
Clear.
100%.
Of
Because I think
course,
you choose fighter, and if it was unique, you wouldn't have to choose. But then they have choose means other things, doesn't it? So
yeah.
so and I'm not very happy to the greats as we've already stated.
Yeah.
But mutating more, Pete.
I'm probably never going to take it because there's just too many other cards that give you the hunter and do other stuff. So
it's true. It's true. Being given the hunter is very strong.
I think that gave it. I think it's had its day in the sun, but I think we've moved on now, and I don't think it's as good as it was.
Armor and get the head, so it's not so good.
Yeah.
But so there's some nice cards in there, but I just think some of the choices are poor. But like I say, I think maybe it just means that Games Workshop know that they're always going to be working on this kind of slightly reduced card pool when they're trying to design competitive game cards.
Yeah. So I think overall,
fun for us filthy casuals.
Yeah. I think overall, anybody who's a starter to the whole thing should get the Essentials pack, and anybody who's in it to win it probably wants to get it as well.
Yeah,
because
and I suppose
some really awesome cards, but I don't think overall it's a great thing for the game. I don't think it helps their creativity or their card design.
No. My gut reaction was, it's for Vanguard. It's not great. But then you think, well, actually, it does mean that if you do, somebody said, I think if you do just pick up a starter set, whether it be Chasm or the other one, and the Essentials pack, you can compete in the Vanguard without having to buy the other warbands.
Yeah,
which is a good thing.
Speaking of Vanguard, I think our Vanguard Plus setup is probably the most fun I've had playing the game in ages.
I really like it, and we do have to make a decision about whether we're going to have these Essentials cards in it, because I think they will make, in the Vanguard Plus meta in particular, they will make the Mollog and the Profgor and the Crushers too strong. So yeah, there we go.
Bye,
so
Henry. Henry Rodriguez has to go back. Goodbye. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. Do give us a thumbs up if you're watching and you're enjoying the bants.
Lack of supply. You talking about lack of supply on Crimson Court? Yeah, I've heard about that. I think you were lucky you secured some, didn't you?
Joseph Bigman asks on card legality: can you use the old versions of cards in tournaments? Yes. The only problem you might have is if your card has slightly different wording and it's been reworded.
You know what the wording is.
Yeah.
So I think not that many have changed, but like Earthing Stone, I've got here in front of me, is now a Mechanolith. I think it actually changed how it works still, but it's a Mechanolith. And I think Julius Speed has changed. I don't think it had the thing about not
Super
pushing inside a super action, so you could scythe around the board.
Yeah.
That's not in there, and you can't do that anymore.
But I think it was errated, so you can do that anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just now it's on the card.
And there was another one, Mighty Swing, actually mentioned scything. It never used to mention the word scything, but it does. I don't think it actually changes how it works at all.
No, it just clarifies it a bit more, I think.
Yeah. James is in love with our Vanguard Plus format. He's agreeing again that it's great, which is really nice. I mean, it is really fun, and I've had tremendous fun. I will keep playing them, keep playing these Despoilers and seeing how they evolve.
I think I've probably the same for you, Robin. I've played more different opponents and different warbands and different setups in these last two these last two Vanguard tournaments than I think probably played in the previous 2 or 3 years almost. Because apart from Grand Clashes, we never played any of this.
I played Wild Hunt 3 times.
Well, yeah, apart from that.
So, but I think that's just coincidence, really.
But it's just absolutely great to be able to get online and play people from all over the place. America, Australia, and all manner of places in Europe and beyond. It's just been fantastic. Scotland, Ireland.
Yeah. I definitely would agree with that. So if you do want to sign up, we're in the middle of season 2, but we will be having a season 3. So if you want to sign up, you can just join Patreon at the lowest level, which is £2 a month, and you get effectively entry into the tournament, extra content, and almost 24-hour access to me and Pete on a Discord.
And we'll be starting to charge again at the end of this month, I think, or beginning of next month, because we will be meeting up in almost less than a month's time now. We'll be able to meet again, Robin.
May the 17th, and we will be publishing, I think, a little timetable of what we're going to do in those first few weeks.
Yeah.
And so you guys all know what we've got planned for May, June, July.
And all our Patreon supporters do get access to our monthly competition, which will start again from the 1st.
I forgot about monthly competitions. Yes, we will be a monthly competition for all patrons at all levels.
I think our previous competition giveaway that we started back in January was for some versatile terrain vouchers, which I think we might keep that one going. We'll just restart it.
That was for car combo, so we'll probably scratch all the entries and start again with that one because it was good. More combos we have now. So.
John Grant says he likes Vanguard Plus. It looks great. Hopefully you'll be able to join in next time, John. Hopefully your TTS intro was worthwhile, and yeah, if anybody's interested, do check out TTS and the Underworlds mod on the Underworlds Discord. It's fantastic.
It's very, very good.
And you can play with our logo.
This is all put together. It's getting down to his logo.
Anybody?
Your Aussie accent, I missed it. Well, I did hear it, but
tried to block it out. I was playing Lenny Winks the other day. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. In fact, I was playing Lenny Winks, and he has a very lovely Irish accent. And I really, I'm just going to have to admit, I have a massive man crush on Lenny Winks' accent. I was getting my absolute arse handed to me in that game, and I couldn't have cared less. It's always fantastic getting to meet all of our patrons. If you do join, you might even get to play against us.
Yeah, good. But only if you're in the first, only for drawing. Because I imagine you won last time, so I can't. I managed to not get through the knockout rounds at all yet, which is about par for the course.
Boo. Neither did I this time.
Out goal difference every time.
That's not a bad way to go out, really, is it? It could be like me and just lose all 3 games. And this Friday, we're going to be back to our lunchtime. Come and paint along.
Yeah,
and we're going to be painting some of the Curse City models.
Yeah, Curse City. So, are you putting up a little poll, Pete, to see what we're going to?
I'm gonna stick up a poll either on Facebook or YouTube or possibly both, just to ask people, show us your models and what do you want to see us painting on the show, and do come and join us. It'll be great. A little hour, get some painting done in a lunch break.
VJ says, when do we get to start the Blitzball TTS League? Do you know what, VJ? If you canvass opinion on the Patreon and we get enough interest, we could do that.
Yeah, I'd be up for that as well.
Yeah, we could fit that in. So VJ, if you find out whether there's anybody's interested, enough people are interested, then we could totally do that.
Yeah, I don't see why not. That's another thing you might be able to get hold of joining our Patreon. Lenny Wink says that he still thinks I was going uneasy on everyone using Garrix. I think they're a contender. I think I had a valid chance. Doesn't help when I play so badly, but it is what it is. And what else is there? I think so. The paint session, will be 12 till 1. And we're going to be doing that this Friday, so there'll be links tomorrow. If you haven't yet, do give us a thumbs up. Do like and subscribe and follow and all that good stuff on YouTube and Facebook. And in another month's time, Robin, we'll be almost within touching distance of each other.
Week off.
So
we can just do content.
Can you move your finger? Just a little bit. Yeah. I can't get it right. Anyway, yeah. Well, I'm tempted. I'm severely tempted to take a week off. We just cancelled our holiday in May. We had a week off at the end of May at the half term because we were going to go to Centre Parks, but we're not doing that now. So I'm tempted to maybe just shift a couple of days earlier on, maybe. Yeah,
I'm around.
I'm going to have to talk to the wife tomorrow about that one. I'll organise some flowers, try and butter her up a bit.
Good plan.
So there you go, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed our little chat this evening.
Yeah.
Next week, I suspect we'll be talking...
Shit. No.
Apart from that. I was going to say the vampires, but we obviously won't be talking about the vampires. We've already talked about the vampires.
Who knows what next week will bring? I reckon there might be some headcracker.
Headcracker. That's a good point. Yeah. More headcrackery information or maybe something else around.
I don't
know.
Yeah. Who knows?
Watch this space. So, great to see everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope to see you again next week in whatever we might be gibbering about, and maybe we'll see you on Friday as well for our painting.
Yeah, I've lost the comments.
Stay safe, everyone. Hopefully everybody can get their vaccinations sorted, and everyone will be back out in the real world again soon.
Yes, hopefully so. Play some actual games with actual people. Woo!
And once we open up again as well, obviously that'll be another thing we'll be looking at, seeing if we can get some people on the channel to play some games of Underworlds or whatever else we can think of.
Cheers, Gerard. He's been sitting quietly, just commented. Yeah, it's always nice to hang out. I really enjoy these Tuesday evenings, so thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you next week.
See you soon. Stay safe.